We're going to take a look in this video at averages and how they work. Well, you can sort of think of average like the middle. The average is really like the middle. Now, that's a simple way of explaining it, but let's look at something you all probably have some experience with. Let's look at, let's say, 2 test scores. Let's say on one test, you scored 80%. And let's say on the second test, you scored 90%. And you want to know the average, your average score for both tests. Well, really, how we calculate an average is we add up all of the things that we're measuring, and then we divide by the total number that we're measuring. And to show you what I mean by that, well, we've got 2 test scores. So if we add up our 2 test scores, then the average would be our 2 test scores added together. I'm going to omit the percents here just to make it neater. So we add up the 80 and the 90 that we scored on the test, and then we divide by 2 because there was 2 test scores. If there was 3 test scores, then we would add up each of them and then divide by 3, not by 2, because 3 was the total number of things that you added. So you have to sort of think about it like this, and that is you're adding 2 things in the numerator, so you've got to divide by 2 to get the average. If you add 3 things in the numerator, then you've got to divide by 3. And how statistics works and averages work, you could add up an infinite number of things. Let's say you have 100 people in a class. You could add up 100 scores and then divide by 100 to get the average. And so here, 80 plus 90 is 170, and 170 divided by 2 is 85. And so when I said that the average was sort of like the middle, that's true in this case, and primarily because we have 2 scores. The middle is actually a statistical measure called the median. This is the middle. But the statistical measure of and this is what it's called the mean. The mean is really the average. So I don't want you to get confused and go home and think that the average is always the middle, because that is the case when we have 2 scores or 2 observations that we're adding or 2 numbers that we're adding together. But technically, when I said the middle, that really refers to something in statistics called the median. And if we look here at 2 plus 3 plus, let's say we have 7. Okay, so let's say we took a quiz and we got scores of 2 and 3 and 7, and let's say they were all out of 10. Well, if we had scores, I'm just going to get rid of these addition signs for a moment. If we had scores of 2 and 3 and 7, okay, the average will be 2 plus 3 plus 7 over 3, right? Because we have 3 measurements. And 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 7 is 12, and 12 over 3 is 4. So this is the mean or the average. But statistically, if you were asked here, what is the median? The median is technically the middle mark. And if we have 3, as long as you rank the scores from lowest to highest or highest to lowest, the median is the middle. And you see here, the middle mark here is 3. So here, the median is 3, and it is not the same as the average. So remember, when you're finding the average, you want to add up all the observations and then divide by the total number. Now, let's say same concept, but different idea. Let's say we have 3 boxes. So we have box 1, box 2, and box 3. And let's say these boxes have to be equally weighted. If they have to be equally weighted, then how much should be in each box? How much should be in each box if their weights are to be equal? If their weights are to be equal, and there are 21 pounds of a product. So how much do we put in each? Well, we know that they're all the same, right? And so can you see here that we have 21 pounds total? And we now have to divide by 3 boxes. Because if we take the total weight and we divide by the number of boxes that we have, then we will get the amount in each box. So if we have 21 pounds and we divide by 3 boxes, then that would give us 7 pounds per box. And that is really an average here. It is an average, although we haven't really solved it that way. Watch this. How about box 1 plus box 2 plus box 3? So we have 3 boxes. So the average weight of the boxes, if we divide by 3, we have box 1, box 2, and box 3, all divided by 3 should be equal to the average. And we know that they're supposed to be of equal weight, so we know that box 1 and box 2 and box 3 are all the same weight. So that's just sort of looking at averages in a little bit of a different way. And if we take a look at one more problem, let's say we have a question like this. And if you understand this one, I think you really have an idea of average as the total of value of all of the, whatever they are, weights or numbers or candies or chocolate bars, divided by the number, or the total number of, adding up all the test scores and dividing by the total number of tests and so on. So let's say we have an average box weight. Let's say we have an average box weight of 20 kilograms. If we have these weights and we have box 1 is equal to 23 kilograms and box 2 weighs 20 kilograms, what is the weight of box 3? And so now we know that the average box weight is supposed to be 20. And if we have these 3 boxes, we now are not finding the average. What we're doing now is we're finding an unknown box weight given an average. So we could set up our average by, say, box 1 plus box 2, and I'm talking about weights here, plus box 3, all divided by 3 because there's 3 boxes. Those average box weights have to be equal to 20. And I'm going to eliminate the units and put them in at the end just to make it a little neater. And so really I can solve this equation. So you might be able to do it by inspection. Can you see what it is? This one is already the average. Can you see that this one is 3 more than the average? Does it make sense then that this one should be 3 below the average? Okay, well, let's see. Box 1 is 23 kilograms. Oops, I said I was going to eliminate the units. Box 1 is 23. plus box 2 is 20, plus box 3, which we don't know, all divided by 3 is equal to 20. And so now we can simplify this and we can say that 20 plus 23 is 43. 43 plus box 3, all divided by 3, is equal to 20. Now, you can think about this another way. What number divided by 3 is equal to 20? Cross multiply, and you should be able to figure out that the number in that numerator, this whole numerator, has to be equal to 60. But nonetheless, we can still solve it mathematically on what I'm going to do there, because really I have an unknown in my numerator. I'm going to put brackets around that, and I'm going to say 43 plus what number is equal to 3. And now I can cross multiply bottom to top, and I get 43 plus box 3 is equal to 3 times 20. So now I can remove my brackets, and I have 43 plus box 3, and 3 times 20 is equal to 60. And now I just solve the equation by subtracting 43 from each side, and when I subtract 43 from each side, I get box 3 is equal to 60 minus 43, or box 3 is equal to 17. And that's just what we thought it was going to be based on the fact that this was 3 above the average. This one must be 3 below the average. But again, this was a special case because we had only 3. You really need to understand the concept that the average is just adding up the total number and then dividing by how many additions you've made. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a refresher on averages and how they work.